Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday morning business chat. I am your host this morning, Robin Blanc
You
Mascari.
got me right in the middle of that.
Oh, I think I need to mute everybody. Okay.
Chanting at a Buddhist center. Sorry about that. Anyway.
We can't hear you, Robin. You are muted.
All right. Take two. Good morning. Welcome to our Thursday morning business chat. I'm your host this morning, Robin Blanc Mascari, and we get together on Thursday mornings to talk about things that we think could support you and your business. And so, as many of you know, we have our leadership call on Wednesdays, and we talked about this topic yesterday, and everyone said, let's talk about it tomorrow. So this is what happens. So good morning, and the topic is curiosity. So what I want to do this morning is kind of define what it is, why it's important, and how to continue to develop that for our business and for our life. Let me clear my throat for a second. Okay, so curiosity, what is it? I think it's a really good idea when you hear a word is to go to the dictionary and find out what does it say there. And we're going to have some interaction in a little bit, but I'm just going to read a few definitions unless anyone wants to pop in really fast with what your favorite definition of curiosity is. I'll take one. Who wants to share? Anyone? Unmute your line. Anyone? Okay. Well, then I'll share. This is the definition is the desire to know. Inquisitive interest in others' concerns. Interest leading to inquiry. So why is that important in our business? And this is actually a continuation of our discussions about retention, because we want to support you in building whatever skills you need to just continue to increase your retention. And retention actually turns into residual income. And if you look in your back office and you open up and you look up personally enrolled, we're looking for green checks. And I think a lot of us have some red X's. So we're looking at how can we have less red X's and more green checks? How's that? And I just want to share that it was not that long ago. I was on an airplane. And for those of you that travel a bunch, there's lots of entertainment options these days on planes. And it's not always available, but you could watch movies, you could watch news, you could listen to music, but there's a section on education. So I opened it up and I played around. I found some interesting things there. And then I saw this course. It was a short course. It was about 45 minutes. And it was from a professor from Harvard on curiosity. So I became curious. and it just kind of opened me up to realize the importance of developing this attitude and skill, because it's really both. You got to want to learn. You got to want to be curious. And when we think back at children, little ones are just naturally curious. They're always asking why. They're looking around, they're exploring. And somehow along the way, we seem to have lost some of that. But my hope is that we regain some of it. So I've got a whole bunch of notes here, and I'm going to share some of the things that I had fun learning online about curiosity. And one of these articles says why curiosity is one of the top skills needed for our future and success in our life. And so when I think about that, it's like, why would that be valuable? Well, curious people actually are really creative people. They're always living in a question. And I shared yesterday that out of my decades of personal development work, one of my absolute favorite tools ever is about living in the question. So we get curious about ourselves, but we also get curious about others. And so I used to be a facilitator for this program called Enlightened Leadership, and we would stand in front of the room as a facilitator. We did, share some content, but our job was to really realize and hold the place that the answers are in the room. Our job as a facilitator was to bring forth the wisdom that people had inside. And what was the best tool? Questions. And that's what curiosity is about, is questions. Is I really do believe that we all have the answers to whatever the problems and challenges are that we face in life and in our world, by living in really good questions and asking really good questions. So how does this pertain to our business? Well, I think we've shared this many, many, many times, and I think everybody knows this, that, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So how do we show people that we care? We're curious. We ask a bunch of questions. Curiosity is really about asking questions. And we want to know, whether it's a prospect, a customer, or a brand partner, what's important to them. And you've heard us ask many times, if there was one thing in your health that, if it was improved, would make a big difference in your life, and how would that change things? And if there's one thing in your lifestyle that, if that was better, how would that affect your life? And so we're asking questions and being curious to connect with people. Because when we take the time to ask and listen, and listening, of course, is a really, really significant part of the asking, is we start to develop the relationship. And you hear us over and over and over again talking about, this is a relationship business first and foremost. And one of the best ways to begin and develop that relationship is by asking questions. And in the Live Younger Success system, under the resources in the library, there's the Getting to Know You forum. And if you don't know what to ask people, we've given you a whole sheet on what you can ask. And it's right there. And it's the Getting to Know You form. And that's just something that, when you're starting a relationship with someone new, and whether it's a customer or brand partner, the questions are a little different for a customer than a brand partner. For a customer, it may be, I want to stay connected. How, what's the best medium and mode of communication? Because we have so many these days. Some people it's email, some people it's messenger, some people it's text. And by simply taking the time to ask, it's something really respectful, and people appreciate it. And many of you know that to connect with me, text message is the best thing to do. I have a lot of emails that come in every day. If it's an important email, text me and tell me you're sending an email. But for some people, it's Messenger. For some people, it's Telegram or WhatsApp. We have an international business. We're all over the world. So finding out what is the best mode. And do people like a lot of information, a little, or somewhere in between? These are the kind of questions that we are curious about when we're, connecting with people. So if they're a customer, the questions are a little different, but we heard from several people recently about the importance for retention is developing that relationship and staying connected. And some people, send, David's videos, and some people send interesting articles, and some people are just, sending something consistently to build that connection. And you've heard me share this before, but every time you make a connection, if you can envision, kind of a heartstring going from your heart to theirs. And if you continue to do this over time, you've built truly an unbreakable bond. And many times, many of us have people in our businesses that were in other businesses with us. We left that company, but the relationship endured because you had the relationship, the connection. So I want to share a few things from a little bit from Forbes, a little bit from Harvard, because they've this I want to share first, because curious about curiosity. I researched and found frequent references to Albert Einstein. So when you think of some of the most brilliant people in the world, he kind of is at the top of the list for many people. What's different about them? And what Albert Einstein said, his famous words, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." Isn't that beautiful? Another quote about Einstein, the important thing is to not stop questioning. Curious has its own reason for existence. And when we think about, our founder and CEO and brilliant genius scientist, inventor, David, well, do you think he's curious? He's constantly living in questions. When he read Dr. Lauren Picard's material on the copper peptide, it began this whole surge of questions. How do I access that? How do I make that available to people in a way that is affordable? And as we know, the X39 patch was born. It took some time, but he kept living in the question. And that is one of the key ingredients of some of the most successful people in the world. And so what I want to do is share a little bit from this one is, let's see. Okay, here we go. Why curiosity is one of the top skills needed for the future. When 1,500 global executives were asked which skills are most needed, and there's a study on LinkedIn, and for those of you that are looking for a job, not many of us are, but sometimes you might be. It's the key words are important on when companies do searches online for looking for what they want. 1,500 global executives, which skills would be most needed as the companies undergo digital transformation? Their top three: adaptability, creativity, and curiosity. And especially as we're in these uncertain times, you want to think about, curiosity opens up new ways of thinking. When we live in questions, we're developing, new parts, new connections in our brain. And we can have a whole conversation. We can get Dr. Tom talking about what's going on when we do that. And they say, if you want to stay young, continue to learn things, continue to ask questions, because it keeps our brain active and it keeps those neurons firing. And that's what we need to stay young and active. So constantly living in this place of curiosity. So let's see, I have so many notes here, and the one I'm looking for. So how do we develop it? And when we look at before I get into the developing it, when we look at our business, and our business is a relationship business, and how do we develop relationships? We develop relationships by caring about people, by taking the time to ask questions about what's important to them. And when people feel that, guess what happens to your retention? Even if they're not really having the benefits that they wanted, but their belief is growing and growing because you continue to educate. And I do want to share, when Gregory was a VP of sales at another network marketing company, he actually hired a consulting firm to study retention. And when they studied retention of what are the characteristics that really support people staying with the company, and there was a whole list that they came up with, but the top two were really important, that is important for all of us to pay attention to. It's connection. It's connection with their sponsor. It's connection with the company. So communication is one of those vehicles that just develops the relationship and keeps people excited, connected, and of course, building belief, and then education. So I know that several of our people are constantly sending, they find a good, I believe Anne posted the Stu Peters, David Schmidt interview in our Facebook group. It was fabulous. And a lot of people have sent that out to, their customers and to their brand partners, constantly feeding people to develop and build their belief. And people, they love learning. People are open and interested in our product because they're looking for something even better. So finding out people's appetite, would you like me to send you information, education? How often? Be respectful and ask those questions, because sometimes people, they don't want just another email. It's just, we all get so many in our lives. A little tickle. And so looking for different ways that we can reach out. And we know we've talked about this in the last few weeks about, how do you develop a system for yourself to stay in touch with your brand partners, to stay in touch with your customers? What consistency do they want? As a customer, would you like me to be in touch with you, once a month, every few months? When they're brand new, we think it's a really good idea to stay in touch with them the day they get their product, and then right after that, and then once a week for the first month is a good idea, because then they feel really cared for. So being curious about them. So I want to share some other notes, because it's been so fun for me to do this, to look at this, because naturally, some people are naturally curious and not everybody is. And so it is an attitude and a skill. So how do you develop this skill? And here's some other benefits, and then we're going to talk about how you do it. Curiosity helps us survive. If we're in a tough situation, we got to get curious. How are we going to get out of it? Curious people are happier. Research has shown that curiosity is associated with higher levels of positive emotions, lower levels of anxiety, more satisfaction. Curiosity boosts achievement. I read over and over again that it's one of the key characteristics and skills of someone in the executive suites is curiosity. So it does boost achievement. And so if you want to continue to grow, be curious. It can also expand our empathy, which is really what we're looking for in our business. If people feel like you really understand what is going on with them, and curiosity is a great way to do that. And then again, building relationships. And so it doesn't matter who it is. If you want to enhance a relationship with a loved one, a family member, a friend, take the time and be curious. I'm curious, why did you choose that particular path? I'm curious why you chose that company. I'm curious, what about that product, really, connected with you. So, because we're going to come across people that are in different paths. So we just want to take the time. And so I'm just looking for my one page that is about what we can do to develop curiosity. And so here we go. This is when you think about children and you think about curiosity, establishing a beginner's mind. Children are like that. They're always open and they have a beginner's mind. And as we've been talking about, one of the most important parts is to ask questions and then listen and observe. So try something new. That will certainly create curiosity. Last year, I took up a new sport, and oh my goodness, I had to be very curious. I took up skate skiing. As you know, this year I had to take a year off as I'm healing. I'm doing really well, but it was a whole new learning curve, and it was amazing. And then be inquisitive. So the act of asking questions outside and living in the questions, and being inquisitive of other people's opinions. The best way for us to grow is to really connect with people that see the world really differently than we are. In 7 Habits, Stephen Covey talks about habits 4, 5, and 6. Habit 4 is win-win. Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And out of those behaviors, we get what's called synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. The best way for us to learn is to be very curious and inquisitive with people that see the world really, really differently. So I want to take a few minutes to open up for comments and questions, as we had a lot of good comments yesterday. And I want to see if anyone, if you have an awareness, a comment of how this pertains to your business, please raise your hand, and we'll unmute your line and have you share, because this is one of the core skills that will develop the relationships that will create retention. So first hand up is Carl, then Lavelle. Want to unmute your line and come on board?
Robin, thank you for the presentation. And I know it stemmed out of yesterday's mastermind call, which we all agreed was great. Creating the curiosity and having the curiosity are both necessary. So asking those questions that create the curiosity in the other person to respond. So by way of example, are you aware of what stem cells do in your body? You know, is a thought-provoking, curiosity-creating question. But I love the phrase that you use, and you use it often. And I think I understand it, but I want to ask a question. Please flesh out the statement, live in the question a little more, because that is really deep and rich. And I wonder if some of us are just too polite to ask the question, but I'm not that polite. I will ask a question. So if you could please flesh it out, love to hear your answer on it. Living in the question, please.
Okay, so there's thank you for that, Carl. That's so great. And our business is about asking questions. What do you know about stem cells? That is certainly provocative and certainly opens things up and can lead to all kinds of wonderful places. So living in the question. So there's the questions we ask externally, and there's the questions we ask internally. So if I have a challenge in my life, and, I'm going through my healing journey, it's like living in the question of what else can I do to support accelerating this healing? And so, or let's say you have a challenge in a relationship. What do I need to do better or differently to connect with this person? So it's the questions, when I say living in the question, it's the questions we ask ourselves. And from my background, it was really about truly owning and realizing that every single one of us has all the answers to whatever is going on in our lives. But what we have to do, and this is what Einstein did, is live in the question. And then we have to take the time and the quiet to receive the answers that come from our own wisdom. One of the tools I used to use years ago was writing with the non-dominant hand. So I'd ask a question of something I was stumped on with my dominant hand, and then I'd answer it with my non-dominant hand, which actually crosses over the corpus callosum and accesses more of our right brain. It's very exciting. I invite you to try it because it just has worked. Every time I tried it, it's worked really well. Does that help, Carl?
It certainly does. And I like the part where you said, what more? Because there's always more that we can learn, more that we can do. So living in the question, that certainly fleshes it out. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. The question, what else, what else, what else? I ask that a lot when I'm talking to people, what else do you want? Yeah. So Lavelle, and we got a whole bunch of hands up. So let's kind of be brief so we can catch everybody. Lavelle.
Okay, we shared this yesterday about not throwing up on people, about making people curious.
I was waiting for
Okay,
you to say this.
what did you say? I didn't hear you, Robin.
I said I was waiting for you to share this.
Yeah, the thing is that sometimes we oversell, if you will. It's just like, hey, have you heard about stem cells? Oh yeah, I just talked to a friend 'cause I was just at the grocery store this morning, and I was like, hey, have you heard about stem cells? Oh yeah, I heard about stem cells. You mean those things that help take pain away? I said, yeah. Yeah, I said, because how old is your mom? Oh, 75. Okay, let me send you a little 3-minute video. Okay, that's it. He's curious. I'm gonna send him the little 3-minute video and then follow up with them and then do a 3-way. And that's how we do the business. We keep it simple than people, because everybody wants to say, because when we're doing that, what people are doing, they're actually taking a snapshot on how the business is done. They're watching you. And you say this all the time, Robin, about model what you want to duplicate. But if you just keep on talking, that person's going to think, you mean I got to go back to school? I got to learn all that? And no, just keep it simple, guys. So I just want to share that one. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much for that, because one of the landmines comes to any that happened to me. And we overshare. And we, like Lavelle talked, I talk about the potato chip theory. You guys have heard me on that one, I think. You give someone one potato chip, what do they want? Our job in our business is to create curiosity so people want more. You give them one potato chip, what do they want? More. Okay. And our tendency, because we're so excited, we got the best thing out there in the world, is to throw up on people and give them the whole bag. And then they throw up and they run away. So what we want to create, like Lavelle says, is we want to create curiosity. And the way we approach people is the very beginning of their training. They're going to think they have to do what we did. If you say too much and know too much, they're going to say this is too hard, like Lavelle just said. So
Dumb
thank
it
you. thank you,
down,
thank
dumb
you
it
for that.
down, dumb it down, dumb it,
Dumb it down. Keep
dumb
it
down.
simple. Okay, Dr. Linda, you're next.
I want to put a plug in for the book Questions Are the Answer, and which is a great book, and I appreciate the dumb it down, make it simple. The other thing is that sometimes we have blocks, and being curious about our blocks can help us identify things that we didn't even know were problems. And I would encourage people to find somebody that you trust, that knows you, that might be willing to tell you what are your strong points. You know, what are the strong points you can really use, and what might be something that's holding you back. So that can be a difficult conversation, but using trusted mentors or upline, you know, someone who knows you, it's a way you can uncover things of being curious about yourself that can take you to the next level. So
Beautiful. And actually that book came up on our call yesterday. Questions Are the Answer. So we're looking for our next book for our book club, and that's in the running. And it truly is. And in our business, you know, we do have obstacles. So having a trusted person, like you said, to really look at, you know, and we have our grow session, our grow model, and we do talk about what obstacles do you see and what do you see that you can do to get through those. So they exist everywhere, and they're in our health, they're in our life, they're in our relationships. So living in those questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. That's wonderful. Okay, James Anderson, you are next.
Good morning, Robin.
Good morning, Jim. Nice to
How are
see
you?
you. I'm
Good to see
good.
you. You know, I like your question about curiosity, and I was thinking about it. To me, it's like an adventure, continuous, where you're moving forward every day toward whatever it is you want. But I've been involved here with LifeWave since 3/20 of 2020 March, and I've taken the patches. But what I'm curious about is that no one ever talks about the compensation plan and how it goes into, you know, we talk about sharing the opportunity, which we've done, and then the people that we share with, I don't really know how to explain how it all works myself. And no one's ever explained it. I'm very curious about that.
Okay, I thank you for bringing that up, Jim. You know,
Certainly.
in LifeWave, most people in our organization are product focused, but when you come across a builder, you got to be business focused and opportunity. And years ago, many of you have heard me share this. I asked Gregory, this is like over 20 some odd years ago, I said, would you explain the comp plan? He goes, do you want to understand the comp plan, or do you want to know how to make money? And a very interesting distinction. So what we do is we have a whole section in the business, in the Live Younger Success, that goes through the compensation plan beautifully. And we've done several calls on it. And there's a really wonderful video from Cindy Labor explaining the comp plan. But the best way to learn the comp plan is to open up your back office when you make money and learn where it came from. And that's what Gregory taught me years ago. But happy to get into further conversation, Jim, okay?
I might just jump in, Jim. This is Gregory.
All right.
You may have just come up with the title for the subject for next Thursday's call, because we haven't talked about it in quite a while, and we should. You know, every 2 or 3 times a year, we should do a refresher for the existing folks like you, and do a teaching for the new folks. So maybe real soon we will do an overview of the comp plan. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and Gregory is the master at explaining the comp plan really simply. So Gregory, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but he writes comp plans, which is a fascinating thing. And we're not going to get into that now, but I think that's a
I
great
don't do it anymore because I found one that works.
idea. Okay, we have Sunshower. You're next.
Hi, everybody. So in getting to know people, this is a really important. What we're talking about today is we're learning about others, we're creating the relationships. And as Robin often says, we get to cherry pick who we have on our team. And the point that I'd like to make is that just in conversation, let's say you're talking with somebody at the produce department. This is my famous story. And you're in front of the Brussels sprouts and there's somebody near you and you turn to them and you ask them, do you have any decent recipes for what do you do with Brussels sprouts? People are going to qualify or disqualify themselves in about 10 seconds as to whether you want them on your team or not. They're either like, oh yeah, my grandma has a great recipe, blah, 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 blah. You might end up friends. You might end up having this person on your team because you exchange numbers. You just want to get to know each other because of the Brussels sprouts. Then you
I
move
love it.
on. You
I
start
love it.
asking those questions. And I'm telling you, even objections, not just questions, but objections are the answer too. If there's an objection, you go, gosh, that's an interesting, I hadn't thought about that. Could you tell me more about that? There's a key phrase right there for you. Keep saying that. You can even remember what they said earlier in the conversation and go back to it. Then they know you were listening. And you go,
Beautiful.
you mentioned blah, blah, blah. Could you tell me more about that?
Thank you. Thank you. So many of you know that when I start working with someone, one of the first exercises I do of people that want to build a business, just like what Sanchar said, we get to cherry pick our business partners. Who do you want? So I invite people, what are the qualities and characteristics you want in a business partner? And this is what Sanchar was talking about. You're always interviewing people to see if they fit. I mean, for me, I don't do whiners. If someone's a whiner, they're excluded. I just don't go there. Or victims, it doesn't work for me. And they're not people I want on my team. And it doesn't, and look at Sunshower showing her homework. She's got her list. And so I was working with one of our people recently and she put her list together and she was traveling and she sat and she had been kind of frustrated in the past short while, but she re-engaged and she's all excited and recommitted. And she was on a plane and she sat next to a woman that fit every single one of the characteristics. So the power of intention, of being clear on what you want. And then when you're out meeting people in the public, you ask the questions to find out, do they fit your characteristics or not? And one of my final characteristics is when I, look at caller ID, am I excited to pick up the phone? Because it's Sunshower on the phone, And so that is a really, really, thank you for bringing that up, my dear. That was great.
Just one other point. The very
Yes,
last
please.
thing that you suggested I put on my list says, so characteristics about people that we're talking to, looking for what LifeWave has and ready to act now.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that one up because I added the ready to change now. That was the last thing I added to my list. I have things like professional and coachable and willing to be a student and plug into a system, people that I like and people that share values, people that are looking for what we have. I mean, how many of you, raise your hand, was this an answer to a prayer? And we got a lot of hands coming up on that one. And so we're not here to convince. Those convinced against their will are of the same mindset still. It's not a good use of anybody's energy to convince, but we're looking for people that are looking for what we have. And when they get it, they're so excited. And then the timing has to be right. If the timing's not right, the timing is not right. But, if the timing's not right and everything else fits, can we stay in touch and maybe things may change in the future? Because we're looking for people that are ready to change now. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, Gary, you're next.
Okay, so I was taking notes on when you said that Gregory hired a firm to figure out retention.
Yes.
And you said the first one was connection, and I missed the second point that you wanted to reveal.
Oh, it's communication and education. So it's
Communication
connection
and
with your sponsor and the company
Uh-huh.
and also education. So constantly giving people information, like that new Stu Peters interview with David is kind of, it's David sharing the new languaging that's very compliant. So I recommend everybody listen to that. It's in the Facebook page because we're moving in a new direction and we're in a transition right now. So pay attention. There's some great stuff in there. Thank you, Gary. Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
looking at the time. It's past the bottom of the hour. I want to thank everyone. I hope this was valuable for you. And I invite you to be curious, in life, just generally, like, why is that flower blossoming before the other one? It's springtime in our garden. So we have it's a very exciting time to just walk around and be curious about nature because it is amazing. Okay, so what we've designed on Thursday mornings is we complete our training topic, which we're now complete with, and I thank you all for your contributions. And now we open up the space for any kind of business question of any sort. It's free territory for any business question. So if you want to put your hand up and unmute your line and start asking business questions, and it could be about the comp plan, and what Gregory said, I think, is fascinating. He's not writing comp plans anymore because he found one that really works. Isn't that wonderful? Donna, you got your hand up first. Go ahead. Hi.
Good morning. I'm curious about that Stu Peters video. I watched it, and he mentions in there about 4 or 5 times where they can go to get signed up with LifeWave, which is the person that got him plugged in.
Right.
So if we send them that video, how can we be sure they're not going to go to that lady and they'll come back to us?
Well, we're not sure, and it would be good if we could edit that out, but it's in several places, so you just have to let people know to get back to you.
My recommendation is don't use it for prospecting. That's an education, and thank you for putting it in the chat there. That it's about education, communication, connection, and education. I would share it to educate your brand partners. Donna, I would use other things for recruiting because it does say, join my team, and you don't want your prospects. You will lose some, I promise, if you send that out to prospects. So we probably do need to look, Robert and I will get with Liz and see if we can't edit those out.
I've been wanting to edit it before it went up, but it went up from one of our leaders before that. So I think it would be good to get it edited out. But thank you, Gregory, because do it with just people that are already involved.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that. CL, you're next.
Good morning, everyone. I am curious about how many SPDs we have on our team and in the company.
I have no idea. Our team has a lot, our team, Live Younger is let's see, it's a team that has lots of leaders that have their own systems and their own way of being. So we have, lots of leaders that have other leaders, in Live Younger, I'd have to count how many, but we've got dozens and dozens under our organization. And the company has, I know Marcy's team has at least 30 herself. We have lots of leaders that have lots of SPDs. In Live Younger, we can count. But as a company, when we became an SPD, there was like only 12. And now there's hundreds. And I don't know how many that is. The
hundreds is good. Okay. And last night, Dr. Tom mentioned that our team might have the most healthcare practitioners of the whole company, and that was pretty fascinating, but he wasn't positive if that was correct.
Well, it's hard to, identify what that specifically. I know our sponsor, Dr. Nicholas, personally sponsored 500 chiropractors. And so it's quite a bit. And we have a lot of them in our organization. And we're very grateful because they touch so many lives with this technology. It's beautiful. So I wish I had numbers. I don't. The company doesn't release those kind of things. Yeah. Well,
Thank
they
you.
actually, they do, well, they gave the income, but they didn't say how many. Yeah. Okay, Carl, you've got your hand up.
A while ago, a few weeks ago, we talked about it, and we're still in the manager campaign that you and Gregory have initiated. And I just want to focus right back on that and say how important and how relevant manager is, and that we look at the SPD position and we revere it, and we raise it to that highest level, because it is the highest level you can achieve. But for a lot of people in this call, and for anyone new, if you're here to make money, you want to focus on manager and max out manager. When you max out manager, you're north of $6,000 a month. That's a significant, if not a replacement income to what you might otherwise be doing now. So SPD is beautiful and all the other ranks in between, but manager is where you start to make money.
Well said.
Manager opens up the door to matching bonuses, and that $1,500 that Carol referred to was just the binary bonus. You also have all the other bonuses like PAB and matching bonuses and leadership bonuses. And so there's a variety of ways, but manager is, like Gregory calls it, the engine pin, the cornerstone, the building block of our plan. And so you need managers to create directors. You need directors to get to the top of the plan. But you always want to look at how do we get them in, keep them in, and move them along. So wherever you are, what's the next rank? What's the next rank? That's what we want to help you do. So thank you for bringing that up, Carl. That was great. And I'm looking at the chat, and there's some great stuff in there. Carol wrote, planting seeds of curiosity in others will produce a harvest of questions from them. Then the engagement starts. And Ravel put the link in section 5 in the business, the getting to know you form. She put the link there. Thank you, Ravel, for always being on it. Asking questions, and this is from NutriBarb, asking questions and well as sharing of yourself so people can trust you and know that you won't judge them. You know, that's so beautiful that you said that, because we want to be in a place of neutrality, even if we see the world really differently. And many of you have been through that with your families and what's going on in the world, that we see it differently. And to be curious, say, help me understand, why do you believe that? Why do you feel that way? No judgment, stay in neutrality, because again, that's where we grow, is when we're exposed to people that see the world really differently than we do. Thank you for bringing that up. Education equals to draw forth. Beautiful, Judy. As our educator, let's see if there's anything. Is there any other questions? Because I'm trying to get through the chat and see if there's anything we need to address.
Hey, Robin.
Yes, please.
Hey, I'm driving right now. I had to drop my son off high school, so I'm in my car. One other comment I wanted to share is, because you want to be curious and you want to let people talk, because people love talking about themselves. You gotta, and everyone wants to feel good about themselves. So when you ask a question, I have a little thing that I do. I just mute out so I don't interrupt people. Let people talk. They want to talk about their family. We do something in our group called Forming People. We talk to people about their family, their occupation, what do they like to do to have fun, recreation, and then we talk about the money. We call it form. You're forming people, and you want to get to know them. So mute out and let them talk.
We could put gorilla tape on our mouth. We could mute out, whatever it takes to be the listener. Is so beautiful. And thank you for that, because that form that Lavelle was talking about is when you don't know what to ask, you can go to that acronym form. ask people questions about their family, about their occupation, about what R is, where'd my brain? Recreation. What do you do for recreation? That could open up a whole huge conversation. And M gets, people say money, people say meaning, people say many different things for M.
Message. M for the message.
M for the message. What's the
And for
message?
some people, the message is money. For some people, the message is health.
Yes. And for
And
those,
for
it's different for different people. And it is really the time to be quiet and listen and ask the questions so you do get to know people. And I remember having a conversation with someone. Well, it wasn't really a conversation. I asked some questions. I listened for about a half hour. And at the end, and I didn't say anything else. And at the end, the person said, that was one of the best conversations I ever had. And it was just all about them. It's like they talk the whole time. And they love, like Lavelle says, people love, that you're curious about them. That's their favorite topic. Okay, Gary, you got your hand up. Got a question or a comment?
So what did the O stand for, please? Inform?
Oh, occupation.
Occupation. Okay, thank you.
Because that could, any of those things, I was at a meeting last night and, someone asked me about my, my injury. And I said I had tripped over a dog carrying a bunch of dishes. And she said, well, how many dogs do you have? And I told her, and I said, how many do you have? And she said, I had 7. So that opened up a whole, and so I got to hear about every single one of her dogs. Well, people love talking about their animals, and it developed a relationship with us, and we're going to be staying in touch. So there you go. Any other comments or questions about anything? It's full. You've got full reign to go any direction you want. This is your time. Okay. Well, and someone put in the chat, Carl, on the call on Tuesday night, and when you think about a practitioner, the ones that are the best, Dr. Tom, Dr. Shauna, all of our practitioners are amazing. What do? They ask questions. They actually are curious. We've been watching this fun TV show called Royal Pains. He's a concierge doctor. He's like MacGyver. He's always living in, what do I have available? Well, that I can handle this situation. What's really going on? And so Tom talked about cancer the other night, and he says, curiosity killed the tumor. And so I'm going to let you guys watch the show because it was really wonderful of how living in those questions and realizing cancer is not a death sentence anymore. There's a plethora of ways to handle it. And sadly, we have a spike in cancer right now. So there's many wonderful ways, and we have great stories, and it doesn't matter what it is, but curiosity killed the tumor. Love, love, love it. Thank you, Dr. Tom. Okay. So yeah, Stu does do a lot of self-promotion. So I think we should edit that. I was hesitant to put it up for that reason. Yes. Okay. So, I don't see anything else in the chat that needs attention. So, and if there's no more questions, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. People who do the talking feel and say you are a great conversationalist when you listen to them. That's exactly what happened to me, Kate. It was amazing. It was a long conversation, but it wasn't a conversation. I just asked some questions. And they went on. Okay. Terry says she has
Robin?
but her hand won't stay up. So Terry, if you want to, and Tom's got his hand up. So Terry, do you want to go and then we'll have Tom? Dr. Tom? You want to unmute your line, Terry? I don't see you or hear you. Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Tom, why don't you go and maybe Terry can unmute?
Okay,
Sure.
I'm on.
Oh,
I'm on.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, hello. Thank you. I have a question about ordering as a brand partner.
Okay.
Because I was on, anyways, I started it in my monthly subscription, and then anyways, and now I'm on my back office right now. And so I don't know how to order to like get the three, the three, where Jen was talking about it, where you get the three for $50 instead of, because anyways, I screwed all that up.
Okay.
And
So
I'm not sure how to.
Okay. Well, it's really simple. You go to your back office and you go to the store, and then you pick patches. And if you pick 3 or more of any of the non-stem cell patches, you get the best price. So it
Okay.
doesn't have to be the YH trio. It could be, 3 ice waves. It could be 3 of any of the other patches. So you can order in between your monthly subscription anytime to supplement your monthly subscription, and just go to the back office, go to store, and then go to patches and pick what you want. Okay?
And you can mix and match those 3, Robin. So you could have an
You can mix
Eon,
and
an
match
Ice
everything.
Wave, and an SP6, right?
Oh, okay. So you could mix and match. That was my other question too.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
because I started on I've been on it like 6-7 weeks now, and I started on the I got the YH and then the X39 and then an extra glutathione. Well, now I am sharing my X39 with my dog because well, I just lost my my male dog last Monday from kidney disease. So yeah, that was really hard. So I've got her patched. So I'm patching her. And so that's why I want to, I want to be able to get extra patches for her.
Wonderful. Our furry
Yeah.
friends love the patches. Our cat got 2 more years of quality life from the patches when he was on his way out. So it's
Yeah,
amazing
I
to
think,
share them.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's
that's
got,
beautiful.
yeah, I'm pretty sure she's got lumps and bumps and all kinds of stuff. And she's the last one of the litter. So she's all alone now. So she doesn't have her brothers and sisters with her. So that's another thing that I want her, for her energy and her sadness.
Yeah.
So, and I think it is, I really do think it's doing, and I'm also putting glutathione on her too.
Good.
So,
Good.
yeah.
All right. And sorry for your loss. I mean, those of us that are attached to our furry friends, it's a real, it brings up our sadness about our loss too. So I'm sorry for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Tom, you're next.
Yeah, one of the most rewarding things we can do is help our family and loved ones. And sorry for your loss, Terry. We do get to bring quality of life. It's one of the most rewarding things about this community and these technologies. And the mix and match thing, yeah, it's great. It's great once you've found a certain level of competence to be curious about the next combination, right? We find a combination that we tend to get comfortable with and get used to it. I like to tell people to shake up the snow globe, get really curious and keep track. And that's why we have the health tracker. Carl was mentioning getting to manager, and that sounds yummy. Getting to director is even more yummy. And, there are so many great health professionals, or all kinds of professionals with huge skill sets. And, we get Robin Mascari for free. We get Gregory Mascari for free. I get Anne Moreau for free. I get Connie Lucas for free. And, these are people that make a lot of money. That's a big hourly chunk, a change out there. And anyway, that all came out because that call that you mentioned, Robin, was because the reason I said that was not because I generated it, is because I was on the director's call and I got to hear you, and I got to get bathed, and I got to get free wisdom from Lavelle, and I got to get free wisdom, everybody who speaks on that call. And even if you don't speak, you're on the call bringing the energy. So that's one of the top freebies. When we enroll as brand partner, we get a free app from the company. So we get a free business model. And if you get to the director, you get to be on that Wednesday call, which is one of the highlights of my week. That's my therapy, and interesting stuff comes out of people's mouths on that call.
I love it. we're all getting to learn from each other and being
Yeah.
curious with each other and learning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There was something else I wanted to comment, but I'll see if I can remember it after
Oh,
Lavelle
Robin,
shared.
sorry about, I didn't
Yes.
put the exclamation point on there. So what you had said was to open your session that day was curiosity killed the cat. And what I said was curiosity didn't kill the cat. Curiosity killed the tumor.
There you go. Thank you. I was I love it. I love it.
I'm gonna jump in now, Dr. Tom, and I love you, brother. You're awesome. We do have a lot of cats to kill. So, and what I'm saying, and I want to make sure I keep this in perspective, is please just get people to be curious. The cats are the people who we want to help and share our program with. So make people curious. But I do want to share one other thing. Everyone that's on this call, please share your thoughts. Because if you don't share your thoughts, they say you have to spend some money, you have to put in something or spend some money. I forget how that's or how do you expect to get some change? Like Robin just said, when you share something, someone may comment that just enhances what you were thinking about. So please, we all need to share because we're learning from one another. When Robin said something, I said one thing and Robin said another, wrote it down. So make sure you're sharing your thoughts too, because that's how we learn, by participating. When you participate, I remember I was in college, I was taking a psychopathology class. I was studying pre-med in psychology. And what happened is the teacher said, if you really want to learn, participate. So we just want to encourage everyone, participate. That's how we learn together. So thanks for letting me share, Robin and Gregory.
Beautiful. Well, that was a great way to end a call. So I want to thank you all in my invitation. And curiosity is a core skill that will enhance your business, your relationships, your retention, your residual income, and just practice. Just have fun practicing being curious about anything and everything. Watch a child. You know, tomorrow I'm going to go be with our, he's almost 4-year-old grandson, and he is so fun to be with, and he could just keep himself entertained forever, you know, because he's so curious. So I'm going to have fun hanging out with him tomorrow afternoon and watching him be curious as we spend time together. Okay, I think this will be the end of our call for today. Thank you all for your participation, for your openness. It is all about learning. Curiosity has us learning, and you know that that's my favorite part of this business is, you know, and we want a safe place for people to grow. And curiosity, every question is fine. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you've asked it before, you know, just keep asking, and we are all here to support each other. So thank you all for being here, and we'll say goodbye and have a wonderful
Thanks, Robin and Gregory.
rest of your day.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Great meeting.
Thank you so
Bless
much.
you.
Robin.
God
Great
bless.
presentation.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good X39 day.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Curiosity rocks.
Curiosity
does.
rocks. I love it.
Yeah.
Look forward
Don't
to
be
hearing-
afraid. Don't fear anything. False expectations appearing real. Write that
There you
down.
go. There you
Absolutely.
go.
Ask,
Okay.
ask, ask. Love these calls.
Questions are the answer. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Sing.